behalf of the PPI board and members nationwide to another online edition.
The local media, for some time now, we struggle with survival issues and
Exactly. So that's the problem. Sometimes you could become guilty.
As journalists, we do our work regardless.
Information also from, or it's lack of access of information that makes reporting difficult.
Yes, they feel the absence of the local ABS-CBN.
At tinitiyak po natin na kung anumang mga pag-aabuso na maaaring nakumit.
We wish PPI for a longer success.
Ang PPI po will be joining other media organizations in support and solidarity for what.
So there is no escaping to progress.
We had some new activities, great activities. We had the COVID Chronicles that
strengthen ng regional memberships ng existing media and information literacy.
Security of the workers in their job.
Grotesque judicial harassment campaign against Rockler. And then, of course,
it is saddening that basic human rights are violated.
We should first thank institutions like the PPI and other NGOs.
I believe that journalism education must address the issues and challenges discussed this afternoon.
Let's not be quick to judge. Let's not be quick to insult others. So I hope that...
I believe that there's a statesman in every politician and it's up to us to find it in every way we can.
Sana yung evidence-based na behavior ma-retain natin in terms of conversation.
And so when opportunities like these arise, for both Nicolation and myself to be supportive.
Balangkas tayo ng polisiya, yung tinatawag nating learner support aids.
We try to fact-check each of these posts, lalo if we find maging mapagmatyag rin sa post mismo ng account o page.
So yung bullying and sexual harassment is very common. Go back to the basics.
One thing is, ang nakita kong development is using mobile devices to follow up.
And we're creating modules now, obviously with the help of the Department of Education also.
Now more than ever, at any other time, journalists need to uphold their core values.
There's been a significant shift in coverage of Mindanao by non-Mindanaoan reporters.
So there has to be a partnership between COMELEC, the social media provider.
So there's just really no way to change and reform the law to make it responsive to the very intent of the law.
And we should work together in improving that relationship.
My favorite quote of Jefferson, that I'd rather have a newspaper without government and society than government without newspaper.
Thanks everyone. Please join us in our other online activities with PPA and our partner organizations. Maraming salamat po. Keep safe.
Sa gitna ng COVID-19 pandemic, higit kailanman, kailangan nating bumoto at maging mapanuri sa mga susunod na leader ng ating bansa. Sa gitna ng COVID-19 pandemic, higit kailanman, kailangan nating bumoto at maging mapanuri sa mga susunod na leader ng ating bansa.
Everyone on behalf of the PPI board and members nationwide to another online edition.
The local media, for some time now, we struggle with survival issues and
Exactly. So that's the problem. Sometimes you could become guilty.
As journalists, we do our work regardless.
Information also from, or it's lack of access of information that makes reporting difficult.
Yes, they feel the absence of the local ABS-CBN.
At tinitiyak po natin na kung anumang mga pag-aabuso na maaaring nakumit.
We wish PPI for a longer success.
Ang PPI po will be joining other media organizations in support and solidarity for what.
So there is no escaping to progress.
We had some new activities, great activities. We had the COVID Chronicles that
Strengthen ang regional memberships ng existing media and information literacy.
Security of the workers in their job.
grotesque judicial harassment campaign against Rockler. And then, of course, it
is saddening that basic human rights are violated.
We should first thank institutions like the PPI and other NGOs.
I believe that journalism education must address the issues and challenges discussed this afternoon.
Let's not be quick to judge. Let's not be quick to insult others. So I hope that
I believe that there's a statesman in every politician and it's up to us to find it in every way we can.
Sana yung evidence-based na behavior ma-retain natin in terms of conversation.
And so when opportunities like these arise, for both Nicolaish and myself to be supportive.
Balangkas tayo ng polisiya, yung tinatawag nating learner support aids.
We try to capture each of these posts, lalo if we find maging mapagmatyag rin sa post mismo ng account o page.
So yung bullying and sexual harassment is very common. Go back to the basics.
One thing is, ang nakita kong development is using mobile devices to follow up.
And we're creating modules now, obviously with the help of the Department of Education also.
Now more than ever, at any other time, journalists need to uphold their core values. There's been a significant shift in coverage of Mindanao by non-Mindanaoan reporters.
So there has to be a partnership between COMELEC, the social media provider.
So there's just really no way to change and reform the law to make it responsive to the very intent of the law.
And we should work together in improving that relationship.
My favorite quote of Jefferson, that I'd rather have a newspaper without government and society than government without newspaper.
Thanks everyone. Please join us in our other online activities with PPI and our partner organizations. Maraming salamat po. Keep safe.
Sa gitna ng COVID-19 pandemic, higit kailanman, kailangan nating bumoto at maging mapanuri sa mga susunod na leader ng ating bansa. Everyone on behalf of the PPI board and members nationwide to another online edition.
The local media, for some time now, we struggle with survival issues and
Exactly. So that's the problem. Sometimes you could become guilty.
As journalists, we do our work regardless.
Information also or its lack of access of information that makes reporting difficult.
Yes, they feel the absence of the local ABS-CBN.
At tinitiyak po natin na kung anumang mga pag-aabuso na maaaring nakumit.
We wish PPI for a longer success.
Ang PPI po will be joining other media organizations in support and solidarity for what.
So there is no escaping to progress.
We had some new activities, great activities. We had the COVID Chronicles that
strengthen ng regional memberships na existing media and information literacy.
security of the workers in their job.
grotesque judicial harassment campaign against Rockler. And then, of course,
It is saddening that basic human rights are violated.
We should first thank institutions like the PPI and other NGOs.
I believe that journalism education must address the issues and challenges discussed this afternoon.
Let's not be quick to judge. Let's not be quick to insult others. So I hope that
I believe that there's a statesman in every politician and it's up to us to find it in every way we can.
Sana yung evidence-based na behavior ma-retain natin in terms of conversation.
And so when opportunities like these arise, for both Nicolaish and myself to be supportive, balangkas tayo ng polisiya, yung tinatawag nating learner support aids.
We try to capture each of these posts, lalo if we find maging mapagmatyag rin sa post mismo ng account o page.
So yung bullying and sexual harassment is very common. Go back to the basics.
One thing is, ang nakita kong development is using mobile devices to follow up.
And we're creating modules now, obviously with the help of the Department of Education also.
Now more than ever, at any other time, journalists need to uphold their core values. There's been a significant shift in coverage of Mindanao by non-Mindanaoan reporters.
There has to be a partnership between COMELEC, the social media provider.
So there's just really no way to change and reform the law to make it responsive to the very intent of the law.
And we should work together in improving that relationship.
My favorite quote of Jefferson, that I'd rather have a newspaper without government and society than government without newspaper.
Thanks everyone. Please join us in our other online activities with PPI and our partner organizations. Maraming salamat po. Keep safe.
Sa gitna ng COVID-19 pandemic, higit kailanman, kailangan nating bumoto at maging mapanuri sa mga susunod na leader ng ating bansa. Sa gitna ng COVID-19 pandemic, higit kailanman, kailangan nating bumoto at maging mapanuri sa mga susunod na leader ng ating bansa. Sa gitna ng COVID-19 pandemic, higit kailanman, kailangan nating bumoto at maging mapanuri sa mga susunod na leader ng ating bansa.
Everyone on behalf of the PPI board and members nationwide to another online edition.
The local media for some time now, we struggle with survival issues and
Exactly. So that's the problem. Sometimes you could become guilty.
As journalists, we do our work regardless.
Information also from, or its lack of access of information that makes reporting difficult.
Yes, they feel the absence of the local ABS-CBN.
At tinitiyak po natin na kung anumang mga pag-aabuso na maaaring nakumit.
We wish PPI for a longer success.
Ang PPI po will be joining other media organizations in support and solidarity for what.
So there is no escaping to progress.
We had some new activities, great activities. We had the COVID Chronicles that
Strengthen ng regional memberships ng existing media and information literacy.
Security of the workers in their job.
grotesque judicial harassment campaign against Rockler. And then, of course,
It is saddening that basic human rights are violated.
We should first thank institutions like the PPI and other NGOs.
I believe that journalism education must address the issues and challenges discussed this afternoon.
Let's not be quick to judge. Let's not be quick to insult others. So I hope that
I believe that there's a statesman in every politician, and it's up to us to find it in every way we can.
Sana yung evidence-based na behavior ma-retain natin in terms of conversation.
And so when opportunities like these arise, for both Nicolation and myself to be supportive,
balangkas tayo ng polisiya, yung tinatawag nating learner support aids.
We try to fact-check each of these posts, lalo if we find maging mapagmatyag rin sa post mismo ng account o page.
So yung bullying and sexual harassment is very common. Go back to the basics.
One thing is, ang nakita kong development is using mobile devices to follow up.
And we're creating modules now, obviously with the help of the Department of Education also.
Now more than ever, at any other time, journalists need to uphold their core values. There's been a significant shift in coverage of Mindanao by non-Mindanaoan reporters.
So there has to be a partnership between COMELEC, the social media provider.
So there's just really no way to change and reform the law to make it responsive to the very intent of the law.
And we should work together in improving that relationship.
My favorite quote of Jefferson, that I'd rather have a newspaper without government in society than government without newspaper.
Thanks everyone. Please join us in our other online activities with PPI and our partner organizations. Maraming salamat po. Keep safe.
Sa gitna ng COVID-19 pandemic, higit kailanman, kailangan nating bumoto at maging mapanuri sa mga susunod na leader ng ating bansa.
Everyone on behalf of the PPI board and members nationwide to another online edition.
The local media for some time now, we struggle with survival issues and
Exactly. So that's the problem. Sometimes you could become guilty.
As journalists, we do our work regardless.
Information also from, or it's lack of access of information that makes reporting difficult.
Yes, they feel the absence of the local ABS-CBN.
At tinitiyak po natin na kung anumang mga pag-aabuso na maaaring nakomit.
We wish PPI for a longer success.
Ang PPI po will be joining other media organizations in support and solidarity for what.
So there is no escaping to progress.
We had some new activities, great activities. We had the COVID Chronicles that
Strengthen ng regional memberships ng existing media and information literacy.
Security of the workers in their job.
grotesque judicial harassment campaign against Rappler. And then, of course,
it is saddening that basic human rights are violated.
We should first thank institutions like the PPI, and other NGOs.
I believe that journalism education must address the issues and challenges discussed this afternoon.
Let's not be quick to judge. Let's not be quick to insult others. So I hope that...
I believe that there's a statesman in every politician and it's up to us to find it in every way we can.
Sana yung evidence-based na behavior ma-retain natin in terms of conversation.
And so when opportunities like these arise, for both Nicolation and myself to be supportive.
Balangkas tayo ng polisiya, yung tinatawag nating learner support aids.
We try to capture each of these posts, lalo if we find maging mapagmatyag rin sa post mismo ng account o page.
So yung bullying and sexual harassment is very common. Go back to the basics.
One thing is, ang nakita kong development is using mobile devices to follow up.
And we're creating modules now, obviously with the help of the Department of Education also.
Now more than ever, at any other time, journalists need to uphold their core values. There's been a significant shift in coverage of Mindanao by non-Mindanaoan reporters.
So there has to be a partnership between COMELEC, the social media provider.
So there's just really no way to change and reform the law to make it responsive to the very intent of the law.
And we should work together in improving that relationship.
My favorite quote of Jefferson that I'd rather have
a newspaper without government and society than government without newspaper.
Thanks everyone. Please join us in our other online activities with PPI and our partner organizations. Maraming salamat po. Keep safe.
Sa gitna ng COVID-19 pandemic, higit kailanman, kailangan nating bumoto at maging mapanuri sa mga susunod na leader ng ating bansa. Sa gitna ng COVID-19 pandemic, higit kailanman, kailangan nating bumoto at maging mapanuri sa mga susunod na leader ng ating bansa. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're all safe wherever you are, whether you're in the comforts of your homes or in your offices. Kami po ay nananalangin na tayo po ay ligtas sa kapahamakan. At this point, we'll be starting off with our invocation or prayer. Let's put ourselves in the presence of God. Prayer for the 2022 elections. Almighty God, once again we come to you with gratitude for your wonderful plan for our country, the Philippines. Please forgive us for our indifference to the plight of our fellow Filipinos and the future of our country, which caused our hopelessness. In the upcoming elections, please open our hearts and minds to the sanctity of the ballot and the duties we must perform, such as registration, voting, and electing leaders according to your will. Please open our eyes so that we may discern the candidates who are worthy of serving the nation and who have qualities such as reverential fear of God, competence for the post they want to serve in, integrity, firm principles, no greed for money or power, and courage to fight for the good of all. Give us strength, Lord, to reject vote buying, and the money stapled with sample ballots. Save us from all lies, false promises, character assassination, and destructive campaigns, as well as intimidation, electoral violence, and violation of human rights. Bless and guide the Commonwealth's resolve to have clean, honest, peaceful, and orderly elections. Give them the courage to curb all forms of election fraud. Protect and guide the voters and the election officials, particularly the teachers, the police, the military, and the poll watchers. Lord, full of hope in your mighty hand, we ask for all these so that the Philippines may become a blessing to Asia and the whole world in your most high name. Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, the Philippine National Anthem.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas. Kayang magiliw, ewas ng sikatanan, alam ng puso, sa titik mo'y bumay. Lupang binirang, tuyang ka ng magiting, sa manluluping, di ka pasisigil, sa dagatang tutok sa simoy at sa langit ng bagaw, ay hinatang tulad awit sa pagkayang minamahal. Ang isang ng atawan mo'y tagumpay na nagtitingin, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pangay magtitingin. Lumanang araw ng maraming pagsikta, ay langit sa piling mo. Ang ligaya ng pagkay mga amin, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Thanks everyone for joining us today. My name is Ariel Cisabelin. I'm the Executive Director and Trustee of the Philippine Press Institute, also known as the National Association of Newspapers. If you want to know more about the PPI, we're just a click away. It's www.philpressinstitute.net. We also have a news website on pandemic reporting. It's www.ppinewscommons.net. At this point, please welcome the Chairman and President of the Philippine Press Institute and also the CEO and publisher of Manila Standard, Mr. Rolando Rolly Estabilio. Good afternoon, Sir Rolly.
Good afternoon, Ariel. First, I'd like to acknowledge our His Excellency Anke Repenstuel, German Ambassador to the Philippines, Mr. Attorney Goetz Hennicke, President Representative to the Philippines of the Hans Seidel Foundation, Mr. Jose Bayani Bailon, Vice President for Core Communications of Nickel Asia, Mr. James Jimenez, Comelec spokesperson, former CHED Commissioner Alex Brillantes, Ms. Gwendolyn Pimentel Gana of the Philippine Institute for Leadership and Governance, Ms. Amalia Cabusao, PPI Vice President, Ms. Ruby Ann Rubio, Press and Media Coordinator, Public Affairs Section of U.S. Embassy, Christine Borja, Senior Political Advisor, British Embassy, Telma Gocolea, Public Affairs Officer, EU Delegation to the Philippines. Other distinguished guests, colleagues in media, PPI officers and members, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It's still 8 months away before the next presidential elections, but the political cauldron is already boiling hot. Had it not been for the lockdowns, the decibel of campaigning would have gone up already to thrilling level and drown out critical thinking on the importance of the forthcoming polls. For the moment, what prevails is still the tempered sound of politics. A good time for us to do what has to be done as a responsible citizen and stakeholder.
I think we are experiencing a technical.
Yeah, I think Sir Rolly, the chairman, lost his connection.
Yes.
He's trying to reconnect right now. We're sorry for that.
There you go.
My task. Okay. I'm sorry about this technical glitch.
It's okay, Chairman. Go ahead, please.
Okay. One of the key freedoms in a democracy is the right of suffrage. Thus, to vote, to exercise that right is very important for us to do. It's the only time that one has direct impact on who to choose to govern and the kind of government who would like to have. To vote whether our candidate wins or loses, we let our voice be heard. Not to vote is to lose automatically by default. Although no law forces one to vote, it is an important civic duty in a democratic life. That system of government thrives only with the active participation of its citizens. Unfortunately, not everyone shares the same thought and takes that duty seriously. In the Philippine context, that lackadaisical attitude is borne out, among other factors, by voters' disappointment, even by the jaded ones, over the poor performance of officials they voted into office. That cynicism grows into apathy eventually, so much so they shy away from the polls altogether. The same cynical outlook pervades even among the poor, uneducated, and jobless, that to register, let alone to vote, becomes a major hurdle for them. Problems like physical distance, say living in a remote area, and financial challenge can't afford additional expenses to go to the polling polls are typical reasons for their unenthusiasm to cast their votes. Add to this the impact of a raging pandemic on people afraid to go out, then it is not surprising to have a below par result in the year-long registration drive. At this point, we are happy to know that Comelec has taken the initiative to reactivate 1 million or 1.5 million deactivated voters and engage first-time voters for about 4 million. Per COMELEC estimates, the total of registered voters for next year will be between 62 million to 63 million. Convincing people to register and vote is relatively easy in a two-pronged approach towards a healthy political environment. The next phase, to move them to be informed voters and vote wisely, is the harder part. In a country where elections are akin to festivity, popularity and varnished public image are key determinants in choosing candidates. Then you have also the patron-client relations, clan politics, and power broker dealings that add to the political din. And while voters' behavior is evolving, much is to be desired in the way we elect our so-called public servants. It is against this backdrop that your organization, the Philippine Press Institute, is taking advantage of the lull in the political campaign to join and collaborate with other stakeholders to encourage people to register and vote responsibly in what is billed as the crucial elections of 2022. The project we are launching today, dubbed as Explainer Videos on Voter Education, will be a series of short but informative presentations in English, Tagalog, and Cebuano. I will refrain from going into details, lest I preempt the explainer and the presenter, but suffices to say that the project was executed and conceptualized by the PPI team led by our Executive Director, Esther Ariel Han Cervantes. The project could not have been realized without the generous support of the Hans Seidel Foundation and cooperation of the Nickel Asia Corporation, COMELEC, and the Philippine Institute for Leadership and Governance. So on behalf of the PPI board and officers and support staff, thank you to one and all. Have a pleasant day.
Thank you so much, Chairman Estabilio. Thank you for setting the tone of this significant event we're having right now. And that's exactly the theme of our first explainer videos of a series that we'll be doing until the end of this year. And with your permission, we'd like to add some recognition, acknowledgement to some of our colleagues who are here right now, members of the Philippine Press Institute, media executives from various news organizations here and abroad, and also communication educators, heads of departments from colleges and university offering mass communication courses, journalism courses around the country and abroad. Maraming salamat po. At this point, we are so lucky to have less than Her Excellency, the Ambassador Anke Ravensjoel of the German Embassy. Please welcome Her Excellency Ambassador Anke Ravensjoel.
Thank you very much, Ariel, and good afternoon. Magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. Thank you, Mr. Rolando Roy Estabilio, PPI Chairman and President, for the very inspiring and encouraging words as a starting point of this afternoon's event. Good afternoon also to spokesperson James Jimenez, COMELEC, Mr. Roy Bayani Bailon, Nickel Asia Foundation, Attorney Gwendolyn Pimentel Gana, Pimentel Institute for Leadership and Government, Ms. Amalia Cabusao, PPI Vice President, lieber Herr Heinecke, Hans Seidel Foundation Resident Representative to the Philippines, ladies and gentlemen. In less than 4 weeks, elections will take place in Germany, and in the Philippines, elections will be held in around 8 months in May next year. Having in mind this similar situation, elections in both countries, in Germany and in the Philippines, I think it is a really good timing to launch this series. I would therefore like to thank the Philippine Press Institute and the Hans Seidel Foundation for having produced this video explainer series on voter education and for having organized today's launch. For the upcoming elections in Germany, this election will be the first time after 16 years that Chancellor Angela Merkel will not be running for re-election. Over the past 16 years, Chancellor Angela Merkel has shaped Germany's domestic and foreign policy and has given Germany an impressive international weight and a voice that is being heard and highly respected worldwide. Since Chancellor Merkel has decided not to run again, it is clear from the outset that this year's election will result in a new German government leadership. This is one of the reasons why the upcoming elections are very interesting, not only to watch, but also to actively participate in. At the same time, it is for both our countries the first time that elections are being held in the context of a pandemic. This creates new and additional challenges, starting from the voter registration throughout the whole process, due to the necessary social distancing and adherence of hygiene protocols like wearing a mask and avoiding contact by touching equipment, etc. However, since the pandemic started already 18 months ago, we have been able to develop not only vaccines, but also concepts and best practices how to surmount such challenges and how to prepare for safe election procedures in Germany as well as here in the Philippines. We live in countries where democratic elections have a long tradition and are well established. In history, most countries used to be governed by kings and monarchs, with power and leadership being inherited within a family dynasty line, handed over from father to son. Democracy and a government that is decided upon by the population and free and fair election are achievements that were gained in long and hard struggles. Democracy, however, is not a spectator sport. On the contrary, active participation of the whole population is the very key for its success. Like many other things, achievements like democracy and free and fair elections are taken for granted, and their value and power are often heavily underestimated. The Philippines, like Germany, is a democratic country with free elections, but it is important to really understand the power of a vote in a democratic election in order to make democracy work. A vote casted is so much more than a 10-minute thing on election day, because the result of an election will last for several years, and it can determine the life of each and everyone in the country. The policy that is being made by the elected government and the decisions that are being taken by the elected leaders shape the whole country, its economy, its living standard of the people, where roads, bridges, hospitals and schools are being built, how much the salary of healthcare workers, teachers, bus drivers is, how much taxes private companies and enterprises have to pay, whether there are free meals at school for the students, how much the national budget for disaster response like typhoons or earthquake, but also for Ayuda in health emergency and crisis is, which other countries to build relations with, and much more. In summarizing, one could say if you don't vote, you are giving away your future. Or in other words, if you don't use your right and responsibility to vote, you have no right or reason to complain about the outcome of the election and about the elected leadership. All election campaigns that are taking place, no matter in which country, all this lobbying for getting the vote of as many people as possible clearly show the value and the power a vote has. By casting your vote, you decide who will govern the country and represent it towards the population, but also in the world on the international stage. Therefore, it is important that your vote should reflect your hopes and not your fears, as Nelson Mandela once put it. The elected leader of a country represents its people, and I am proud to have been represented by Chancellor Angela Merkel over the past years. I don't know how many people here in the Philippines told me how much they admire the German Chancellor and that she has done a lot for Germany and the world. Such a leadership can make you feel even more proud of your country. Success in an election means having secured the support of the majority of the voters. At the same time, the majority of the voters should also mean the majority of the people, of all citizens. Therefore, it is critical that people register for voting. Every single vote can make a difference, and every single vote counts. I would once again like to underline the importance of democratic elections and the active participation of voters. And I think the best way to do this is by quoting Larry Sabato, an American political scientist, and the American magazine editor George Nathan. They very rightly said, every election is determined by the people who show up and vote, and bad governments are elected by good citizens who don't vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador Raven-Stewell, and thank you also for underscoring the need to exercise, to register, and to vote in the incoming elections next year. Having mentioned about our gratitude to our funder, we also like to thank our collaborators at this point. And of course, we cannot do this without the generosity of the Hans Seidel Foundation and our collaborators of the Pimentel Institute for Leadership and Governance. And we also have the Commission on Elections and the Nickel Asia Corporation. And having mentioned about our collaborators, unfortunately, COMELEC spokesperson James Hirna will not be able to join today, but he extends his congratulations and best wishes to the organizers and to the funders as well. At this point, I'd like to call the Vice President for Corporate Communications of Nickel Asia Corporation, our very good friend, Mr. Jose Bayani JB Bailon. Good afternoon, Sir JB.
Good afternoon, Sir Ariel, Madam Ambassador. Good afternoon, and good afternoon to everyone tuned into this forum. I'm very excited that PPI again has this project. I had a good fortune actually of visiting the Federal Republic in 1981. To reveal my age, no, I was 20-ish. I was 19. I'm sorry, I was 19. I'm sorry, 1983. I was 21. I was a guest of one of the political foundations, actually the Konrad Adenauer Stiftung. And at that time, Ariel, believe it or not, we crossed into East Berlin through Checkpoint Charlie. And we were shown what it was like to live, what life was in a democratic West and communist East. No? And of course, at the time, Germany was going through the Cold War after surviving rising from the ashes of the Second World War. And eventually the wall fell in 1989, and we saw how people voted with their feet. That is why democracy is a very important and interesting animal, if you will allow me to put it that way. But through the years, as a political observer, I realized that democracy is something like something we have to do, Ariel, keeping fit. You cannot have democracy by sitting on the couch and watching TV with a glass of soda in your hand. You will eventually get fat. And when you get fat and you decide to get fit, it'll be harder. And lucky for you if you can make it, sometimes you don't. Similarly with democracy, it starts off with voting, but it doesn't end, as the ambassador had said, with voting. It continues with being a good citizen, and a good citizen means taking note of what is happening around you, keeping informed, and once in a while, airing your opinion. Because remember, when we talk of democracy and voting, we are not, what we are doing is conferring our power for a limited period of time on people who have chosen to be our servants. This is power that they must be accountable to at all times, because after a certain period, whether it's 3 or 6 years, they will give it back to you, no? And supposedly, they should be able to report to you that I have done so well with the power you gave me. If they have not done very well with the power you gave them, then too bad. Hopefully, you've learned from it. But again, and this is an experience seen by many countries. Thankfully, not with Germany, which is now, the Federal Republic is now united. Many countries, and this applies to the Philippines, many people like us stopped at voting, assuming they vote wisely, they stop there. That is not the case. And therefore, when PPI has programs like these, which add up to encouraging active citizenship, because that is what we have to strive for, hopefully we do what we can to help strengthen democracy in our own way. While Nickel Asia would love to be the chief and only funder of your programs, when we can, we'd like to contribute even little, especially to things like these, because we cannot look at citizenship as a corporation as only mattering to us if we make money. Citizenship as a corporation means we have to be concerned with more than just our business interests. And definitely now we're in the thick of talking about 2022 and the future before us. Hopefully we have learned lessons, if there are lessons to be learned from the past 6 years and the past 60 years. Because every time we go to the polls, hopefully it is an improvement from the past. If we don't improve, who else do we have to blame except ourselves? But hopefully so that we can claim that every time we vote, we always step up a notch and make the country better. You and I, as individuals, as members of responsible organizations, must do our share. And in whatever little way we can, Nickel Asia is proud to support PPI, and we are proud to be partners with the German government as well as the Hans-Seidel Foundation, all other foundations who are in common cause with us. So mabuhay and good afternoon.
Thanks, Sir JB, for joining us today, and thank you for highlighting the need for accountability. Again, thanks so much to Hans-Seidel Foundation and another collaborator joining us today, representing the Pimentel Institute for Leadership and Governance, is former CHED Commissioner Alex Brillantes. Hi, sir. Magandang hapon po sa'yo.
Magandang hapon rin po, Sir Ariel, Madam Ambassador, and dear friends and partners around the table. I am very happy and privileged to be representing Attorney Gwen Pimentel Gana and our Pimentel Institute for Leadership and Governance for being part of this very, very important initiative. Our participation in this initiative is very much in line with the ideologies and advocacies of our beloved Senator Nene Pimentel, who himself was in the forefront in the preservation of integrity of elections. At one point in his life, he even has been a victim of the process. We are therefore very happy that we are launching the series of explainer videos on voter education. We are very confident that with the circulation of these explainer videos, we shall have a more informed citizenry who will troop to the polls next year to select our next set of leaders, both at the national and local levels. The explainer videos on voter education were very carefully crafted, strategized to adapt to the present living conditions where movement is restricted and most of our people are confined in their homes, as we are today. It is thus an opportunity to make our explainer videos on voter education handy by spreading these through modern means of communications, including social media and other technology-based outlets. These explainer videos hope to avert the proliferation of misinformation or disinformation being circulated by unscrupulous who are out there to subvert the truth. As the political season gets heated by the day, we expect various media platforms to be drenched in a flood of propaganda, political messages, advertisements, and agenda-driven press releases. Thus, if the circulation of misinformation or disinformation cannot be avoided, it is hoped that our explainer videos will avert the further spread of disinformation and replace them with accurate and truthful information and promote critical thinking among our electorate. Today's launching of the series of explainer videos on voter education is not only timely, but significant in strengthening our democracy, as very well pointed out by Her Excellency, our Ambassador. Democracy is strengthened when our voters are properly educated and informed. Democracy thrives when people engage in a free flow and exchange of information that yields to a well-informed society. This is the objective that the project hopes to replace. It is therefore within this context that the Pimentel Institute for Leadership and Governance, named after our great Senator Tatay Neni Pimentel, himself at the forefront in the struggle for integrity of elections, as I mentioned earlier, we're very happy to be a part of this very, very important project. We are grateful to our partners, PPI, Hans Seidel Foundation, Nickel Institute, and all our partners around the table for this opportunity. The PILG, Pimentel Institute Pimentel Institute of Leadership and Governance, is therefore privileged and continue to pledge its support for integrity in elections. Maraming salamat po. Mabuhay po kayong lahat.
Thank you, Commissioner Brillantes, for your full support, PILG's full support also for this particular project of the PPI Enhanced Adult Foundation. All right, this is going to be a pretty much straightforward launch today. At this point, our colleague, our Seminar Director, and also the Head of Content Development for this particular project will explain the explainer videos. Please welcome Joyce Pañares, also News Editor of Manila Standard. Hi, Joyce.
Hi, Ariel. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to all of our participants today, to Mr. Estabillo, to Ambassador Rifles Duel, Mr. Heineke, to Mr. Baydon, and Mr. Brillantes, who spoke earlier. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. This will be short and sweet. 2022 is not a normal election year. As we said in our webinar earlier this month, we expect it to be an election like no other on the back of a raging pandemic. And while it can be easy to disengage from politics amid fears for our personal safety, the 2022 elections is more important than ever. The winners of this election will determine our future responses to the pandemic and will confront issues such as the fallout of months of lockdowns, high unemployment rates, and an economy struggling to recover. During normal times, getting people to vote is already a challenging task. And now, with the highly transmissible Delta variant pushing our daily tally of COVID-19 cases, and with the spread of misinformation and disinformation, not only on the pandemic but also on the elections, the saying that every vote counts has never been more true. Next year's presidential election will be one of the most consequential this country has ever had. This is the reason why the Philippine Press Institute decided to undertake this project, producing a series of explainer videos with a two-pronged aim of first, encouraging first-time voters and the listed voters to register on or before September 30, 2021, and two, convincing all Filipino voters to cast their ballots on May 9, 2022. This first video is a call to action for people to go out and register, the first step to ensuring that your voices are heard in next year's electoral process. It's dubbed and subbed in Tagalog, Cebuano, and English. PPI was also conscious of the need to be inclusive, thus the sign language translation in all versions of the video. PPI looks forward to producing the succeeding explainer videos with the help of our partner, the Hans Seidel Foundation, and in consultation with the Commission on Elections. Although I understand Comelec spokesperson James Jimenez was not able to join us today, his inputs were key or were crucial in the production of the first video. He was the one who told us we really have to frame it in the context of our pandemic right now. So this is PPI's small contribution to voter education efforts. And we hope that in our little way, we will be able to raise awareness on the importance of having your vote counted and increase confidence as well among Filipino voters that you can cast your ballot safely despite the pandemic. So at this point, Ariel, I think we can...
Yeah,
Maraming
Already?
salamat, Joy.
Yeah. Thank
and
you.
And not to mention, it was quite a huge challenge for all of us to shoot the production team because of restrictions of bringing in talents going to some places where we had to shoot and then bring the talents to the office, etc., etc. So, but I guess these are humble contribution to voter education and media information literacy. Maraming salamat uli, Joyce, for your big contribution to the content development and the script itself. At this point, binanggit na natin lahat. So first, we're going to in particular order. So we're going to show first the Tagalog version and then the Cebuano and then the English version. Ladies and gentlemen, here go the videos.
Sa gitna ng COVID-19 pandemic, higit kailanman, kailangan nating bumoto at maging mapanuri sa mga susunod na lider ng ating bansa.
Huwag tayong matakot bumoto at bumoto ng tama. Nakasalalay sa atin ang paghalal ng mga leader na lilikha ng trabaho at livelihood opportunities sa gitna ng pandemya.
Huwag tayong matakot bumoto at bumoto ng tama. Nasa ating pagpili ang kasiguraduhan na may pagkain sa mesa ang bawat pamilyang Pilipino sa gitna ng pandemya.
Huwag tayong matakot bumoto at bumoto ng tama. Tayo ang titiyak na ligtas ang mga mamamayan sa anumang banta at mapapanatili ang kapayapaan sa gitna ng pandemya.
Huwag tayong matakot bumoto at bumoto ng tama. Tayo ang magsusulong ng tunay na serbisyong publiko na magpoprotekta sa ating kalusugan sa gitna ng pandemya.
Kung ikaw ay isang Filipino citizen, 18 years old sa araw ng eleksyon, o di kaya ay natanggal sa listahan ng mga botante, magparehistro na. I-download ang registration form sa irehistro.comelec.gov.ph at isubmit ang filled-out form sa pinakamalapit na Comelec office. Ang deadline sa pagpaparehistro ay sa September 30, 2021.
Magparehistro na po kayo. Huwag pong matakot bumoto at bumoto ng tama.
Ang boto ninyo ay kinabukasan namin, kinabukasan nating lahat.
Magparehistro na po kayo.
Magparehistro na po tayo.
Magparehistro na po kayo.
Magparehistro na po kayo.
So we're pretty much a lean production staff, but thanks to the group of Care, Priscilla, and Rog for really, and here's the Cebuano version.
Taliwala sa usa ka mabangis nga pandemya, sama sa gihapon, kinihanglan nato nga mubutar og magmatngon sa pagpili sa atong mga musunod nga leader.
Huwag tayong matakot bumoto at bumoto ng tama. Nakasalalay sa atin ang paghalal ng mga leader na lilikha ng trabaho at livelihood opportunities sa gitna ng pandemya.
Huwag tayong matakot bumoto at bumoto ng tama. Nasa ating pagpili ang kasiguraduhan na may pagkain sa mesa ang bawat pamilyang Pilipino sa gitna ng pandemya.
Huwag tayong matakot bumoto at bumoto ng tama. Tayo ang titiyak na ligtas ang mga mamamayan sa anumang banta at mapapanatili ang kapayapaan sa gitna ng pandemya.
Huwag tayong matakot bumoto at bumoto ng tama. Tayo ang magsusulong ng tunay na serbisyong publiko na magpoprotekta sa ating kalusugan sa gitna ng pandemya.
Kung ikaw, usa ka Pilipino, 18 anyos ang edad sa adlaw sa piniliay, o gipapas na, parehistro karon pag-download sa registration form sa irehistro.comelec.gov.ph o isumiti ang filled-out form sa Comelec office nga labing duol kanimo. Ang deadline sa pagparehistro ay sa September 30, 2021.
Magparehistro na po kayo. Huwag pong matakot bumoto at bumoto ng tama.
Ang boto ninyo ay kinabukasan namin, kinabukasan nating lahat.
Magparehistro na po kayo.
Magparehistro na po tayo.
Magparehistro na po kayo.
Magparehistro na po kayo.
And finally, the English version.
In the middle of a raging pandemic, now more than ever, we need to vote and be discerning in choosing our next leaders.
Huwag tayong matakot bumoto at bumoto ng tama. Nakasalalay sa atin ang paghalal ng mga leader na lilikha ng trabaho at livelihood opportunities sa gitna ng pandemya.
Huwag tayong matakot bumoto at bumoto ng tama. Nasa ating pagpili ang kasiguraduhan na may pagkain sa mesa ang bawat pamilyang Pilipino sa gitna ng pandemya.
Huwag tayong matakot bumoto at bumoto ng tama. Tayo ang titiyak na ligtas ang mga mamamayan sa anumang banta at mapapanatili ang kapayapaan sa gitna ng pandemya.
Huwag tayong matakot bumoto at bumoto ng tama. Tayo ang magsusulong ng tunay na serbisyong publiko na magpoprotekta sa ating kalusugan sa gitna ng pandemya.
If you are a Filipino citizen, 18 years old on election day, or have been delisted, register now. Download the registration form at irehistro.comelec.gov.ph and submit the filled out form to the COMELEC office nearest you. The deadline for registration is on September 30, 2021.
Magparehistro na po kayo. Huwag pong matakot bumoto at bumoto ng tama.
Ang boto ninyo ay kinabukasan namin, kinabukasan nating lahat.
Magparehistro na po kayo.
Magparehistro na po tayo.
Magparehistro na po kayo.
Magparehistro na po kayo.
And there you have them. Hopefully, these videos get to be aired by the members of the Kapisanang mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas. At maraming salamat po sa ating mga talents, Joyce, yung mga bata, yung security guard, yung karinderya owner, sino pa ba yun, yung nurse, at saka yung tricycle driver. Thanks so much to all the people who contributed to the success of the explainer videos. At this point, Joyce, let me call the Vice President of the Philippine Press Institute, also the Editor-in-Chief of Mindanao Times, for her reaction. Hopefully, good reaction.
Wow. Okay.
Hi, Ami.
Okay. Hi, Ariel. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Well, thank you very much. First of all, I would like to congratulate Ariel and the production team for putting together such a compelling video that throws quite a punch. No? It's call to action, very clear and succinct. Huwag tayong matakot bumoto.
Yeah.
Bumoto ng tama. That's right. Yeah.
Correct.
So our vote indeed matters, whatever station we are in life. And this, I think, is PPI's first endeavor at taking a more aggressive stance and encouraging our readers and audience to exercise our civic duty in a democracy. The message that our every single vote counts, hopefully will fire the imagination of people who have long been tied to the idea that they are not heard. And also to believe that we are all responsible for choosing people who have the capacity to lead the nation to wherever we want. Hearing the voices coming from the basic sectors in this video surely resonates. No? And for this, we hope that somehow PPI has contributed to educating our voters and in making our nation a better place for all. So thank you very much to our sponsors and to all of those who made this possible, to the Board of Trustees of the PPI, and for all PPI members who have supported this, our projects, because we've had so many projects in the past year. No? So congratulations to all and thank you very much.
Maraming salamat, Vice President Ami Cabusao, and hopefully our friends in the app can also get to carry the videos, in their platforms, whether it's a website or their social media platforms. Hopefully, this get to be disseminated nationwide, because the call to action to register is really very important at this point as we look forward to the closing or the deadline on September 30, 2021. Okay, I promise you this is going to be under 1 hour. All right. And my jitters are slowly fading away as we are soon going to wrap this up at this point. Again, Ami, with your permission, again, thank you so much, Hans Silo Foundation, which is really funding this particular project, a landmark project, so to speak. And thanks to our collaborators for contributing to the success of this project. Please welcome the resident representative of Hans Silo Foundation to the Philippines, a very good friend also, Attorney Guts Heineke.
Good
Hi,
afternoon.
sir. Good afternoon.
Hi, Ariel. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to everyone. Thank you very, very much for joining us here this afternoon for the video launch. And for us, Hans Silo Foundation, this project is somehow really exciting. I mean, we are seeing the elections are coming. So many issues are quite hot and I don't want to say sexy, but highly attractive to the whole population here in the Philippines. For me as a German, as a foreigner, there's so much I don't understand. And that's the reason why we are happy to work together with the PPI, to work together with all of you in this video production. I think that's really a good thing that we are going to do here now. It's not just now this one video about the 3 minutes about voter registration, something that's completely strange for me as a German as well, because in Germany we are registered automatically. We don't have to do anything. Here in the Philippines, it's completely different. But that's our starting point now with the voter registration, and then we go on. We will have monthly videos, and I think it's needed. It's really good. Having said that, yes, we are short. We are at the end now. So thank you very much for Sir GB from Nickel Asia Foundation. Honestly, I always like and love to listen to you, and especially with all your experience from Germany in the 80s, a time when I still went to school and I didn't realize the difference. So somehow you're really a good ambassador as well of Germany. Of course, thank you very much to the real ambassador of Germany, Ms. Anke Reifenstühl. Prof. Alex Brillantes, thank you very much to PLG and to you that you are here and contributing as well to this videos series. Sir Wally, as usual, a pleasure to listening to you. And what is important for Hans Silo Foundation is as well COMELEC. Because we are foreigners here in the Philippines, we need to be, when it comes to elections, we need to be extremely careful. Because foreigners and in elections, you can already imagine where I want to go. And that is the reason why we need to have COMELEC in. And unfortunately, Sir James is not here this afternoon, but normally in all our activities is really present and he's really motivated. And that is for us one condition, that COMELEC is as well in the video production, so that we are sure that we are doing the right thing and not propaganda for the one or other side. Yeah. Having said that, thank you very much to every one of you. I wish you all a wonderful afternoon. The sun is shining. Originally, we have planned to have this launch in the German club in Manila. So probably this would have been the time now to have some beers. Unfortunately, for obvious reasons, we cannot do that. But I hope we can still, have it some months delayed, but still this year. Thank you very much with all of you, of course. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Attorney
so much.
Gus. Yeah, thank you so much. We're looking forward to going to the German club for probably another or relaunch or whatever, but we're really looking forward to the other videos that we'll be producing until the end of the year. So it's going to be another challenge again for the production team, but thank you so much, Hans Seidel Foundation, and to our collaborators, Nico Asia Corporation, Pima Institute for Leadership and Governance, and the Commission and Elections, and to all of you who are in the meeting room. We rise up to the challenge of, let's say, contributing a little or less of resources we have for voter education. Maraming salamat po. At this point, nawala na po yung kaba ko. Salamat po sa inyong lahat. I hope not only you, well, hindi naman namin sabi you like the video, but I think kapulutan po ito ng aral ng ating mga mamamayan, especially for the first-time voters around the country. Thank you so much to all those journalists and educators who are not from the Philippines but who are watching right now. Maraming salamat po sa inyo ulit. And that's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. And see you in our other video production, launch or relaunch. Sir Rolly! Sir Rolly!
Picture?
Ayun,
Picture?
Ay, picture. Ayan. Ambassador Angke, maraming salamat po. Sir JB, hindi na ako kinakabahan.
I know.